FBA fees climbing, I'm losing my grip. Storage costs rising, they'll never let me skip. Refunds I'm eating, returns pile up too. Oh, Amazon, what else will you do? I look at my dashboard, my profits erased. My margins are gone, it's a slap in the face. Prime Day's a promise, but it's such a race. How much will I make if I'm replaced? It's a cruel, cruel number. Fees keep climbing, profits torn asunder. Oh, it's cruel. The sellers wonder how to survive when the margins go under. It's a cruel, cruel number. Every month it's something new to plunder. Oh, it's cruel. It's no wonder we're stuck in this game. The algorithm's thunder.
Yo, Amazon's back, and they got a new scheme. Reimbursement slashed, it's every seller's dream. They're digging deep, taking more from the pot. Let's break it all down, expose what they got. March 25, it's a policy drop. They say manufacturing costs, but we know it's a flop. Give us your cogs, they're demanding the price. But if you don't, they'll estimate nice. Nice for them, not for you. Watch a payout shrink. That comprehensive evil is a corporate wing. Lost in the warehouse, damaged on the floor. Now they pay you pennies, not a cent more. Fees on the rise, profits on the run. They don't lift a finger, but they pocket the fun. We're fair! They shout while they cut our shares. Amazon math, man, it's full of errors. Fees, taking our dough. They're stacking the deck, and it's sellers who owe. Reimbursements? Nah, they're taking us down, but we're still here, we don't mess around. Fees, straight to the top. Amazon's game, it'll never stop. Margins tight, but we keep the grind. Sellers unite, we're one of a kind.
I try to sell my product on Amazon, thought it'd be a breeze. But little did I know I'd be stuck with seller support disease. They never seem to solve my problems, just give me the runaround. I'm tired of waiting on hold. My patience is wearing thin, I'll never be found. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck. Can't get no satisfaction. I'm out of luck, out of luck, out of luck. You don't care about my business, just trying to make a buck. Amazon seller support, you suck, you suck, you suck.
This one's for the sellers on the grind, getting left on red, wasting all their time. I hit up support, got an auto reply. Thanks for your patience, man, I wanna cry. Inventory lost, my margins are toast. Reps playing tag like the Casper the Ghost. They pass me around, it's a never-ending game. Nobody takes action, everybody shifts blame. My ASIN's down, I'm out of the race. They say they'll escalate, yo, what a disgrace. Amazon seller support, you're breaking my heart. No answers, no fixes, just tearing me apart. Hours in the queue, stuck in the dark. Amazon seller support, you're missing the mark.
Amazon game plan, that is the key. Seller central dashboard, that's where I be. Analyze the funnel, see what we lack, then we optimize. Sellers know it's a fact. I get it poppin', you know that it's lit. Climbing the rankings, ain't no room to quit. I check the data, they notice the stats. I keep the method, that's how you adapt. Metrics are showing, you know it's our cap. Amazon sellers, it's time to react. I'm about that action, I do this with passion. I got them like, whoa, what is this? Huh, whoa.
I don't know, dude. I think everybody's just buying stuff based on reviews and badges or whatever. They don't even know who we are. These customers don't even know the name of my brand. But they keep clicking add to cart like it's part of the plan. They see that Amazon badge and think it's all grand. But yo, they don't even know the name of my brand.
Click, scroll, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Dials, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell a day. Now listen up, I'm Steven Pope, Amazon guru, I'll help you cope. Step 1, get that trademark stamped without brand registration. registry, your Amazon cramped. Head to Seller Central, log in quick. Manage stores tab, yeah, that's the trick. Upload your logo, flex that style. You're about to make Jeff Bezos smile. Where pick a template, marquee or grid. Drop your tiles like a branding whiz. Hero image, big and bold. This store's gonna glitter like digital gold. Flex, grow, build your store. Amazon's waiting, what you waiting for? Brand it loud, make it shine. Steven's here to drop the rhyme. Blue tiles, banners, plug and play. Your storefront's live, let's sell today. Yo. In the trenches of the Amazon game, trying to survive while it's driving me insane. Nobody warns you, they just claim it's passive income. Nah, it's pain. I'm sitting at a birthday, laughing, chilling, next to a newbie Amazon seller spilling. She's like, Prime so smooth, it's a killer. Then tried to sell, now she's stuck in a thriller. Finding products, yeah, that's the first grind. Scrolling Alibaba, losing my mind. Sample suck, manufacturers decline. I'm like, dang, how's anyone doing this fine? Ship it in, pay for the bubble wrap, but they ship glass bottles in padded crap. Now I got hot sauce leaks, refund stacked, customers pissed. Man, I'm under attack. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat. Trademark wars, brand registries a scam. They banned my brand, now I'm in a jam. Listings yanked, products ranked and tanked. Lost dogs in the catalog, my account shanked. Now let's talk ads, it's a rabbit hole. 1,000 hours deep, man, it's taking my soul. Weekly negations, bulk sheets for control. Excel's my new weapon, but it's taking its toll. SEO's no joke, keywords in the game. Alt text, A+ content, playing insane. Lifestyle shots, avatars for fame, but the CTR's low. All products look the same. Amazon's a beast, it's a fight, no peace. From SEO to PPC, from SEO to PPC, the hustle don't cease. Think it's passive? Nah, you better increase your tolerance for chaos or face defeat.
Let's go to Mac School. To Mac School. Class is now in session with Professor Pope. They got the SAP, cause Professor Pope wrote the recipe, helping Amazon sellers grow sales exponentially. Amazon's a jungle, but we map the strategy. Brand strategist playbook, it's a guide to victory. Troubleshooting catalogs, you know we got the answer key. Boosting all your rankings, turning sales into a legacy. SOB so deep, you think we studied at Mac School. Every step we follow leads to growth, yeah, it's a golden rule. Stuck on keywords, we'll find the ones that work the best. Using Helium-10, strike distance keywords past the test. Incremental indexing ensures the listing set to rise. From the back end to the bullets, optimization hits the skies. Brand store creation, yeah, we make it shine and flow. A+ content design makes conversions overflow. Need your images on point, best practices in the plan. All text and photo rules ensure your visuals command. SEO meets PPC, it's balanced, every step aligned. We'll construct the MKLs that drive rankings over time. Budget caps and bid adjustments, no more wasted spending. Segmentation builds campaigns that sellers can defend. Got a hijacker, no problem, we'll file to take them down. Review requests in action, 5-star ratings come around. Flat file updates, market share reports, it's all in reach. Professor Pope wrote the SOP so sellers learn and teach.
Meanwhile, my Amazon guys on the case, fixing up my problems at lightning pace. Ticket escalations, Mag's the boss. Even Amazon says we'll take the loss. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. They're supposed to be the pros, but they can't decode policies and tools from their own damn road. I'm paying fees, yet they bring me stress. But Mag turns my chaos into pure success. Seller support reps, they throwing shade, but then admit, yo, Mag will get you paid. Third-party agency taking the throne while Amazon fumbles in their own damn zone. Seller support don't know what's up. Passing the buck when the issue gets tough. They're the official team, but they can't comply. So they say, reach out to my Amazon guy. So here's the truth. Let's keep it real. Mag's the team with the pro-level skill. Amazon sellers, you know the vibe when support says call Mag. They'll give you peace of mind. Amazon seller support, you can suck my image stack. Sucking is all you're good at anyway. Bezos, hit me up if you want to sell seller support. I'm buying. There's a Jace. Peace.
All right. You've got pay-per-click advertising questions. We have pay-per-click answers. My name is Kevin Sanderson from My Amazon Guy. From MAG, I am the marketing and partnerships guy here at MAG, and I've also been an Amazon seller for over 10 years, advertising for over 10 years, and I've spent a lot of money on ads. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. Hopefully I can save you from some of those mistakes and help you learn from my mistakes, as well as a lot of the lessons we've learned here at My Amazon Guy. So a couple things I just want to bring up. Drop your questions into the chat, and then I have a little pitch. Doesn't cost you anything. And you might have already done what I'm going to ask you to do. This is YouTube, so you probably already, or if you watch on YouTube, I should say, you probably already know what I'm going to ask. So with that, we had a few comments come in. Time Warp Custom Paint says Amazon Music rocks. So thank you for liking the pre-roll music. I don't even know what we'd call it, but whatever that music was we were playing before we got started. We've got Bent Roxy. Hopefully I said that right. What would you say? Oh, we'll get into questions here in a minute. We'll get into more questions here in a minute. So ask your questions in the chat. Don't wait till the end, because I tend to run out of time and I don't get to everyone's questions, but I want to ask, or I want to answer the question you ask. So if you honor us with a question, I want to honor you with a good answer. So ask your question when you get a chance. And then Abanoob says, hey, Kevin, how are you doing? I am doing well. And I would be doing even better if we could get this number right here. You see where it says 59,873? That is the current subscriber count of My Amazon Guy. If you're getting good value from the content that is being put out here by Noah, by Steven, by myself, by other people on the team who contribute from time to time, we have one ask, and that is that you subscribe to the channel. And we try not to be those people that are like constantly begging for subscribers. Like, you know, the channels, some of them are really big ones, and they're like, oh, only 58% of the people that or, you know, watch apparently aren't subscribed, or something like this. Something. We don't go into numbers and statistics of who subscribed and who didn't. We don't like to call people out, but we just would like to ask for a favor. Help us get to 60,000. In fact, I might even take us a little bit behind the scenes here and share something, give you like ahead of time. So hopefully this isn't a putting some bad juju into the world, but we have what I think are some subscribers, some exciting images coming out here soon, which, let me go ahead and bring this up and I'll share my screen. Oops. Don't worry, folks. I've done this before. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. So we're creating images for, I'm going to remove that. And I'm going to share the screen. Oh, stop screen. And I'm going to add the screen share. So we're already creating images. Like, we're getting ahead of this. We like to be one step ahead of the game. So we are really looking forward to getting to 60,000. And as I just showed, we're at 59,873. So we're 117 subscribers away from that illustrious 60,000 mark. Now, yes, there's people like Mr. Beast that have hundreds of millions of subscribers. I think Mr. Beast has more subscribers than there are people in the United States. We don't want that. We just want a medium-sized town. We want to be like the size of Ocala, Florida, or something like that. We want to be relatively mid-sized town with our subscriber count. So thank you for helping us get there. And for those of you who are already subscribed, thank you for being one of those who's already subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, this is our plea, our please subscribe if you are not already, because it would help us get closer to that mark of 60,000. So enough of that. You came here not to have me beg for subscribers, which we usually don't, but this is we're getting close. So we figure, hey, we'll put it out there into the world. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and answer questions. If you have a question, drop it into the chat. Best time to ask it is now, because as we get closer to the end, I'm going for the most part in order of who asked first. And oftentimes I run out of time. And so it's just, there's only so much time in the day. I try to be respectful of your time and don't want to go over. And so we will run out of time, most likely. So we'll either run out of questions early or we'll run out of time. We usually run out of time before we run out of questions. So I want to answer your question. So best time to do it is now. All right. So Brent says, what would you say is a good ACoS for a new product with no reviews? Well, I'm going to start off with that 2-word phrase that everybody hates, but everyone uses, and that is, it depends. So what you really should be asking yourself is, what is my break-even ACoS? And so figure out, what is your break-even ACoS? So we used to say in the Amazon world, third. So you have your sales, a third goes to Amazon and fees, a third goes to the cost of the product, and then a third goes to the general profit. Like, that's your gross profit. That's not true anymore. As we all know, Amazon takes more than a third cut. So 15%, unless you're in automotive or some category that's less than 15%. But for the most part, you're going to have 15% referral fee. What is the cost of, and really scrub down on this one. And so they've helped us with SKU economics. So run the SKU economics report and try to get a sense of, per unit, how much is it costing you, not just for the 15% referral fee, not just for whatever the FBA fee is, but also, like, what is your inbound fee? So, like, the fee to ship it in, if you're being charged for the placement fee or whatever they call it. I just have come to learn to live with it. But the fee, so whether you're sending in pallets or you're sending in parcels, you're being charged to ship it to Amazon, whether from your 3PL or whatever. If you're using Amazon's service, which is usually going to be better than if you try to, use UPS on your own account, even if you have really good discounts on your UPS account, because Amazon has the bulk buying discount. Then you would look at it as, okay, what about all the other little fees? How long on average is your product going to be in the warehouse? So, if you have 1,000 units and you're selling 300 a month, that's 3.33 months on average. Do the math to figure out, like, okay, what is each unit spends on average? I guess they wouldn't spend on average 3.33. Yeah, because you have 3.33 months of inventory. But let's just say you do the math and it ends up being about 2.5 on average months that the inventory is in Amazon's warehouse. So how much you're paying per inventory times 2.5. Hopefully you don't have any units that are going, into like 6 months or whatnot, so that you're paying long-term storage fees. So point being, add up all these little fees that start adding up, these little nickel dimes here, there, whatever. What does that cost? And if you have costs from your 3PL, like if you're receiving at a 3PL and they're charging you something and they have some sort of, inbound receiving fee and an outbound fee and a fee to put on a sticker, whatever those little fees are, figure that out per unit. Now, once you've figured all that out, what the cost was to purchase it, and think about all the little fees along the way too. Like, for example, if you paid 30% down and 70% balance with your supplier, and let's say you did wire transfer fees, and an international wire transfer fee is $45 and $45, then you just spent $90. And so $90 divided by 1,000, what is that? Is that 9 cents a unit? Just for your wire transfer fee. I got to calculate that here real quick. So calculator. So yeah, 90 divided by 1,000. Yeah, 9 cents. So if you did 2 wire transfers for 1,000 units and it's $45 each, let's just say hypothetically, that's 9 cents per unit. All these little things start to add up. So then figure out, once you start figuring out all these little costs, some of these that you thought about, some of them maybe you hadn't thought about, add them all up, plus the cost of the goods sold, and shipping, and then if they charge you tariffs, or you had to pay like a bond fee or whatever, all these little fees that start adding up, figure out what that is, how much is left over per unit, and then that is your break-even ACoS. Then to your question of what is a good ACoS, how much can you afford to spend? So not everybody likes this, but legitimately, how much can you afford to lose? And not that you want to have the mindset of, I'm going in to lose just to get data. You don't know on a new product sometimes. Just because you see your competitors are ranking for a particular keyword doesn't mean you're going to be able to rank. And the competitors your customers are going to have the same opinion of your product versus your competitors, maybe because of reviews, maybe because of the images, maybe just something seems off. They don't like the color, or the design, or something might just change up the buyer intent just enough for particular keywords that you don't do as well. There's a variety of factors. So can you at least break even? That would be the question you have. So that way you're at least paying for the inventory you had and, replacing it. So that's kind of the way you want to think about it, at least initially. Now, if you have, and that's how you do it if it's a product that's a one-off purchase. Most products on Amazon are one-off purchases. For example, I bought, and sometimes they're not. So I bought these guys. These are Bluetooth earphones, earbuds. It's theoretically a one-time purchase. Now, I, like a genius, put them in, like in your car, you have like a little handle where you shut the door. It's usually like, there's an armrest on the door, and like the window and the lock and all that is like right there. So like sometimes I use that little handle as storage. And so I had put 2 earbuds in there and, went inside to a store or something, came back to my car, left, and I realized I had one. So what I had was no good. So I ended up buying another one. So that's a weird one-off purchase. May or may not happen, but you might get a few of those. Then, so not everything is always just one customer equals one purchase. Now, you might have something that's like supplements, and maybe every customer is worth 2.5 sales or something. Some people might be on subscribe and save for years. A lot of people just buy once and they're done, and they'll go buy something else. You never know. But assume in those cases, if you have a consumable product, whether it's something people actually consume or just, like poop bags or something where they're going to repurchase, because I'm honestly lazy. And if I find a product that works, at least as a consumer, I should say, I'm lazy. If I find a product that works, I usually I just go back into my orders tab and I buy it again, and I buy it again, and I buy it again. Like in my business, there's poly bags and boxes and tape companies that have gotten tons of orders from me over the years. So you don't know. So you got to kind of also look at is your product have legitimate chance of a lot of repurchases? Then you could maybe say, you know what, if my break-even ACoS is 37%, I'm actually okay with 60% because I think I'm going to make up money in the long term. Don't get too crazy, especially initially when you don't have the data to support that. But maybe you're willing to go a little bit beyond your break-even ACoS. And sometimes you also need to go beyond the break-even ACoS just to get data. You don't want to get too much data. You like, I've seen people go months aggressive at top of search placement, aggressive on bids, and they're like, this is an important keyword and it's getting a lot of clicks, and I have a 300% ACoS. How much should I keep that up? I'm like, I wouldn't do it very long. Not at all. So you really have to look at it as, how much are you willing to lose? How much potential is there? And what is your risk to reward math mentally and emotionally to be able to put up with losing money on a particular keyword for a long time? And how much potential is it? And, legitimately, how similar is your product to other products, and can you compete with them? That's the way you got to look at it. I know you probably wanted me to just give you a flat number, but there's a lot of, it depends. And a lot of people just throw out numbers sometimes, and they're just totally made out of nowhere. But I'll say break even ACoS after you really factor everything in is probably the minimum I would go with to at least give you something to work with. All right. Why So Cute says, hi, Kevin. How do you structure your campaigns to account for attribution delays in sponsored display versus sponsored products? I don't think one way or the other about that. So I would say just run your ads, go to, when it says attribution delays, I think some of that just might be more buyer behavior. So sponsored products is more like people are at the cash register saying, hey, where is it I can find earbuds? And they say right there on the shelf, and then you just grab it and they come right back. Like they're ready to go. Sponsored display is sometimes a little bit more higher up the funnel, where they're like, should I go in that store? Or should I go in that store? Like they're walking around the mall and they're just kind of research mode. So some of that might be some of the attribution delays. From a technical standpoint, I can't say 100% for sure. I think sometimes there's things that people say out there like, oh, the attribution delay is where, like, people just sometimes want to sound smart. And maybe it's true that, like, from a technical standpoint, there is. I don't know. I would imagine if you make a sale on sponsored display today and you go to run your reports, it's going to be on there. Now, you might have delays in general with reporting. So, and sometimes people talk about like have like a 1 or 2 day delay. So if you're like doing your optimizations today, you might look back a day or two as like the end period. So that way attribution can catch up. And when they talk about that, it's really more people go on their phone, they add something to the cart, and they come back later and buy it. And that's normal shopping behavior on Amazon. In my house, when I go to buy stuff all the time, my wife's put stuff in there and I click save for later and I buy other stuff because I might be buying stuff for business. And I don't like to convolute the two. So for a variety of reasons, people are sometimes moving that purchase back, and just with the nature of what sponsored products is versus sponsored display, it's probably more that. So from a campaign structure, I don't know that there's really anything you could really do about it, to be completely honest. And I don't know if it's a problem that's really worth solving, if that makes sense, other than just know that when you're looking at it, there's probably more likelihood that the people on sponsored display might be more likely to come back or whatever the case is, more so than sponsored products, because they're kind of like running around cash in hand, like as if they were in a store ready to buy, and they drove all the way over there knowing what they're looking for. It's kind of the way to look at it. Hopefully that made sense. All right. Abanoob has a multifaceted question here. This is 1 out of 3. I have a new product that I want to add in the Egyptian marketplace, but I don't have the trademark yet to register and brand registry. So I had a brand exemption for this and want to have the UPC exemption for this product as well. I'm reselling this product under my brand. Should I send them image for a product different than this one, I would not. But have my logo on the packaging, or should the photos of the same packaging I'm getting to send the product in, although it doesn't have my logo on it. You're going to need product with your logo on it. So do you have brand registry in like the US or somewhere else that you're selling? I'm just kind of curious about. Least risky option from the above. Don't mess around is really what I would say. Don't buy fake UPC codes. Don't buy whatever. Actually, if you go to my Amazon guy.com/ yeah, so let me share my screen here. If you need, add to stage. If you need barcodes, you go to myamazonguy.com/UPC. I'll take you to UPC barcode. We are a channel partner, like an approved vendor for GS1. Oddly enough, I have a meeting tomorrow with our rep from GS1. So you can buy a GS1 barcode from us. Oh, this is the UPC to GS1 barcode service. But this right here. So if you needed a barcode, you could go to this page here, which is on the GS1us.org website. You could get like just a one-time barcode for $30. And then this is, I don't think we get a commission off of it. It's more just like we're an approved vendor. So we might get a commission. I don't want to say for sure that we don't, but basically it's cheap, and you can just go on our website, myamazonguy.com/UPC, or you can go on gs1.org, whatever their website is. And then you can purchase a one, and that the nice thing is if you buy if you need just one, it's $30. And it's lifetime, versus if you buy prefixes, like I need a batch of 10, or I need a batch of 100, or whatever they put them together as, those you have to pay annually. So that can get expensive. All right. So next up, let me... how do you approach placement identifier, placement modifier testing, top of search versus product pages across different lifestyle stages? How do you approach placement modifier testing, top of search? Okay, so these are good questions, but they're very in depth, and some of it is like, where are you at this point? That I don't know that you have to worry. Like, I kind of get a sense, and I mean this as constructively as possible, that there's a lot of additional variables that are going together in some of these questions. So I would say you're better off swinging for the fences and figuring it out when you're in there than to try to like, and I do this, I'm guilty of this myself. So somewhat I'm preaching to myself here. Sometimes we say, okay, well, there's this and I need this, and just seems interesting, but like, I don't know of a way to say top of search product pages across different product life cycle stages, because the reality is some of it is just the market. So maybe you're thinking like, okay, I want to go top of search more early on. Maybe just let the data point you to where you should be spending your money with placement modifiers. I've never been that big of a fan of placement modifiers personally. There are software tools that like make it so that like basically you are going after every modifier for single. So one modifier, one keyword, one campaign. You pretty much have to do this at any scale, a software tool. But then you're kind of building yourself a prison. So the way I look at it is like you could say, I'm really more concerned about growing sales at the expense of profit, or I want profit maybe somewhat at the expense of sales. So you're focusing more on the gas or a little bit of the brakes. That's more your North Star of what you're going for. And then you're just driving down the street making changes. Because I could say, yeah, maybe as you get farther into this, you go more aggressively on product pages. If you want to test them out and see what's working and just continue what works and don't work on what doesn't. But I wouldn't worry too much about product life cycle stages, because no one knows it's going to be around in 6 months, let alone in a year or 5 years. So as the life cycle of your product changes, now some people might say just go aggressive on top of search. Is sometimes hard when you first start out. Sometimes people crush it at the top of search when they first start out. So it's hard to say. So I wouldn't put those two variables together personally. All right. Brent Rocks Z says Ocala, Florida is 63,000 population, by the way. See, I was pretty accurate. So my Amazon guy, when I checked earlier, was at 59,873 subscribers. So we're almost at 60,000, and we're almost at Ocala, which shout out to Ocala's own Elizabeth Green from Jungler, who she's putting together the Seller Strategy Summit, sharing strategies. Noah's speaking at that, and I'm actually helping behind the scenes put it on. But if you go to sellerstrategysummit.com, you can get a ticket for just $9 and learn all kinds of new strategies to scale your business. And its origin is in Ocala, because Elizabeth is the one putting it on, and she lives in Ocala. So yes, Ocala, Florida has 63,000 people, according to Brent Rocks Z, which sounds about right. And then we on our YouTube channel are at 59,000. Although Stephen Pope's LinkedIn, I think, is at 70,000. It was close recently. So it was like YouTube was getting close to 60,000. LinkedIn was getting close to 70. The two used to kind of rise together, like at these milestones, 30, 40, 50, whatever. But LinkedIn's kind of taken off more, whereas YouTube, not quite as much. I think, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of my thoughts on all that, other than to say, please subscribe, help us out, and help us get closer to 60,000. And then once we hit 60,000, help us surpass the population of Ocala, Florida. All right. Oh, this one here. Abanoob saying, do you have a better solution? I don't think I'll be able to repackage with my logo and brand on the packaging. So here's my other question. How are you doing this in the US currently? Because I'm not all that familiar with the requirements for brand registry in Egypt. So if you're selling in other marketplaces, you should be able to just brand register in Egypt using whatever trademark, unless the reciprocation isn't there, which in a lot of the, classic Western countries, you can use. You don't get all the same protections as you would a local trademark, but to be able to qualify for brand registry, you usually should. So that's probably not a great answer. It probably didn't 100% help you, but you may want to at least look down that path of like, can you go to brand registry and use the current trademark you have, assuming you have a trademark? Would be my question. All right. Govind Agrawal 2007. I have no idea what that says. I'm sorry. PPC KE. I'm not. Please guide. I'm not sure what that said. I don't know if that was in another language. I don't want to say it if I don't know what it says. I'm sure it's probably an honest thing, But if you ask the question in English, I'd be more than happy to answer that. And forgive me if that's what's the word I'm looking for? Those are abbreviations that I just don't understand because I don't always get the abbreviations people use. Spell it out if you don't mind. And I will be more than happy to answer your question. All right. Abanoob says the profit is too low and this is a trendy product. It doesn't deserve spending $30. Oh, okay. So it's not even worth spending $30 on a UPC. Its landed cost is $2 and its selling value is $5. And Amazon only charges 50 cents for FBA. This is in Egypt. And referral in Egypt is, why is it not showing the rest of this? Well, anyway, what you guys can't see is, oops, I just did something on my own screen. And Amazon is only charging 50 cents for FBA and referral in Egypt. Oh, so that's it. They're only charging 50 cents for FBA and referral, which is amazing. What is the best option for such low profit marketplaces? Honestly, have you already sent this in? And if you haven't, I would caution you not to, because sometimes when there's these things with like, oh, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be. One, I've yet to meet anyone who's like, oh yeah, Egypt is the place to go. A lot of the Middle Eastern marketplaces, I've never met anyone who's crushing it. And I've heard people, talk about going to like Saudi Arabia or UAE, and they say it's just crickets. So maybe you have a better understanding of those marketplaces. But what could also happen is if it is, you're doing this arbitrage of like, oh, I can sell for $5 and make decent profit because the product is $2 landed and $2.50 with the FBA fee. All you got to do is raise the FBA fee or say, you know what? Now we got $1 minimum, or the equivalent of a US dollar minimum on the referral fee or something. And all of a sudden your math is different. Or if it keeps like this, you will have other people flooding the marketplace, and you don't want to end up being one of those people that are still sitting on a container load of fidget spinners. So if you're saying this is a trending product, trends change fast. And what's $5 today could be $3 tomorrow because everyone else is trying to get out of it. So I would say I wouldn't do this unless you're already sitting on the inventory and you already have a way to get it in. But it sounds like this is something you're still trying to figure out. So I would caution against it. All right. Next up, Jessica Huther. Whoever. Hopefully I said that right. Do you have an idea of what percentage of organic sales is being cannibalized by PPC when both the ad and organic listing appear in the top of search? That's a great question. And one other, so if you're on Google, it's pretty much the two are completely separated from each other. Google cares about, and this will make sense to Amazon here in a minute. Google cares about relevancy, and is the customer getting is the user getting their question answered? So how well you do on your organic versus your paid placements don't factor towards each other. I've heard some people argue there's a little bit of, at least maybe it puts your website on the radar with Google, but they don't bear one with each other. On Amazon, yes, you might be cannibalizing some organic sales with your PPC placements, especially if it's top of search. And let's say you're number one PPC and you're number one organic. Let's just say that. You might lose your number one organic place if you're no longer number one PPC. That we've seen that happen to people. So because Amazon, your paid placement is also influencing your organic, not necessarily one for one, but it does have a effect. So with Amazon, what they care about is someone searches for a product. There's only so many placements on page 1. There's only so many impressions. So of that, not just what gets clicked on, but what's going to end up in a sale. Now, first they have to click on it in order to get the opportunity for a sale, but what gets clicked and what ends up getting purchased. That funnel from impression to purchase, what's going to give them mathematically the best opportunities? And it's, oftentimes you're talking about like a fraction of a percentage, but what's going to give them that best opportunity to end up with a sale on the back end is what's more likely to show up. So you're showing the algorithm with your paid placements that you're generating sales, which helps to prop up your organic placement. So you could lose out on your organic placement if you are no longer top of search. So that is something to keep in mind if you're currently there with both. And if you're profitable, great. Now, if you're not profitable, then you may want to look at like, okay, look at, let's say, a week or a month in search query performance report. And like for that keyword, what were your total sales? Then look in, let's say, your targeting tab or the ads manager. And then for that keyword for ads, what were your ad sales? And then do the math to figure out what percentage was your ad sales. If it was 50-50 or 30-70, like 30% ad, 70% organic, then, if you're halfway decent on ads, maybe it's worth it. Now, if you're the other way, where it's maybe 70% ads, 30% organic, and it's not 100% profitable, like maybe it's not worth it to prop it up quite as much. And then maybe you could lower a little bit and then see what does your organic ranking do after that. Hopefully that made sense. All right. So if you have questions, drop them into the chat. I'm going to keep answering questions as much as possible, and go from there. Oh, we have this question from Instagram from Milan Gahawaja. We're shifting from VC to SC, so from vendor central to seller central, and see the bids are on the higher side. Is it normal? Probably, because on vendor central you are on Amazon's turf. Seller central, they're going after you. Now, some of that might just be, I think the bids are going to be what the bids are going to be anyway. But on Vendor Central, it is Amazon's listing. Amazon is the seller. So they might give themselves more favorable placements, which you'd think there might be an FTC, whatchamacallit, an FTC investigation for unfair trade practices, but I'm no lawyer. What do I know? But the bids on the higher side, it's possible. I also think, because when you're saying you're seeing the bids are, which is probably the suggested bids. Also keep in mind, those are, whether they're recommended or suggested, I forget the exact word. They're a suggestion. They're just that. It's not necessarily like, in order to show up, you have to have that. It's just some algorithm is making up math and just showing you those numbers. And honestly, there might just be a different formula that's similar but different between Vendor Central and Seller Central. But what actually works, you'll find out from testing. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So how often should you restructure campaigns, and when is it better to optimize existing ones instead of starting fresh? All right. So Stephen Pope, our founder, has a few isms. One of his isms is never negate or turn off a good keyword. So when you're talking about restructuring campaigns, be careful doing it. Oftentimes what ends up happening, I've done this many times, and sometimes I even see the naming convention is slightly different in campaigns when I've done some restructurings over the years. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, I did that. Just when I'm looking through, hundreds of campaigns that I have at this point. It's better to optimize if they're working. If they're not working, you could test it maybe, or turn off what's not working in certain campaigns and maybe try them again in a different campaign. But if they are working, don't get too creative. You could even have, and don't worry about dedupe and all that. Like Amazon's going to dedupe themselves. If you have one campaign and keyword A is working, you could test keyword A in another campaign. And maybe, maybe it's an exact campaign you're putting keyword A into to test out. Maybe keyword A in the original campaign at broad works better. It just happens that way. Or they could both be the same exact, let's say they're both exact match and they're in two different campaigns. One, you're just trying a different structure. They might still work better in the old campaign, even though you've got this new creative structure in the new one. So it's not worth it to turn off, because if it was working one place and profitable, it may not perform the same in the new place. So be very careful about switching campaigns and whatnot. Sometimes you're better off just leaving well enough alone, is my personal opinion. So hopefully that made sense. All right, folks, if you have questions, drop them into the chat. And as a reminder, we have just shy of 60,000, like 100 and something left to go to get us to 60,000 subscribers on YouTube. Not the biggest channel in the Amazon space. Definitely not the biggest channel on YouTube, but even in the Amazon space, we're up there. And we don't ask a lot, like, do please, like, oh, please, we're pleading with you. Please subscribe. But we are now, because we're getting close. And as it was pointed out earlier, I don't know how I picked Ocala, Florida, but somebody pointed out Ocala, Florida has 63,000 population. We're just right now trying to get to 60,000. Then maybe our next goal is to exceed Ocala, Florida, or I don't know what else, 60,000 people in it. I was going to say Garland, Texas, but Garland, Texas is way bigger than that. And people might be like, what's Garland? There's a suburb near where I grew up. And I think there's like 250,000 people in Garland or something like that. I don't know. It's gotten pretty big. All right. Anyway, enough talking about populations of mid-sized cities. All right. So then we have Abanoob says, I live in Egypt and I'm sure of every info I told you. Okay, great. If the concern is $30 is too much to pay for a UPC code, and you're trying to figure out how to get around that, I would not try to manipulate anything personally. Like, send in like any sort of fake documentation. Going back to your examples where you don't have the trademark yet and register and brand registry. So you want a brand exemption for this. I want to have this product as well. I'm reselling this product under my brand. Should I send them image for a product different than this? Well, with my logo on the packaging, I would say probably, I'm trying to highlight, but you can't highlight. It's not like Microsoft Word or the internet where it's, crawlable text that you can highlight. I was trying to highlight what's on the screen. Send them an image for a product different than that one. I would say that, if I'm understanding the question though. At least if you're trying to prove you have a brand, and then if they're like, but that's not the same product, let them fight that battle, which you might get it through, but I wouldn't fudge anything. Hopefully that made sense. Not saying that you're trying to do anything deceptive, but you want to be cautious. All right. Mayor Chino says, hi, Kev. Do you use duplicating campaign strategy, or do you use that strategy? what do you mean by duplicating campaign strategy? I'm curious. If you mean never negate a good keyword or don't turn off something that's working, I follow that strategy. Sometimes I do have the same keyword in multiple campaigns. I just let the winner take all, so to speak. All right. Why So Q says, how do you know when it's time to pull back ad spend on a product, even if it's still profitable? So, great question. You can never truly pull back ad spend completely. It is kind of a bit like a drug, so to speak. So, they want you to, as I was mentioning before, in someone else's question, your paid sales and paid performance is going to have a bearing on your organic sales and your organic performance. So I would say if it's still profitable, maybe you start, bringing your bid down a little bit. That is the lever you want to pull and just see, does that kill your ranking, kill your sales? But one thing to keep in mind is I have always found this month, the cycle is month starts out with good sales. PPC is a little bit higher because of the more window shoppers, so more people clicking around and not sure what they want to buy yet. So more research mode, not sure what to do with their gift cards, or they're just killing time as they're returning stuff, clicking on things and may or may not buy them. So there's just more activity on the platform. Then at the same time too, you get hit with at the beginning of the month with your Q4 storage costs from December, which usually is a pretty big number. You're getting hit with all month of January with returns from the holiday season. So people can return all the way up to January 31st, which is nice for them. And I've utilized that myself at times. But you're getting hit with a lot of that. So January is just a weird month, is really what I'm saying. And then this is now the time where it starts to lull a little bit. And so I wouldn't take too much foot off the gas just yet. You maybe decrease your bids by 10% across the board and see what happens. That might be the suggestion if you're trying to pull back ad spend, but I would not use budget as a lever. I would focus more on the bid itself. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. Karam Ali says, our brand sales are around 1.3 million and net profit around more than $2 LAC. Currently, what is LAC? I don't know what LAC is. LAC. Let me Google that. LAC meaning. Okay, so LAC is apparently a whatchamacallit. I don't know what $2 LAC, something maybe per unit. I'm not familiar. You're gonna have to clarify what that means. And organic sales 56%. How can I improve my organic sales? All right. So number one thing to do, improve your main image. So if you can get more people, both from your ads and your current organic placements, to click on your product and purchase, you're going to get more favorable impressions. Because at the end of the day, we like to focus, a lot of us focus conversion rate as being, okay, from the click. So when they visit the page, what percentage of people purchase? 100 people visit the page, 10 of them purchase, 10% conversion rate. If you have 100 people visit the page, 8 of them purchase, that's a less than 10% conversion rate. I'm trying to think of what the math is there. Oh, silly math. 8 divided by 100 is 8%. So you have an 8% conversion. I used what should have been very easy math for me there, and I got sidetracked. So anyway, 8% conversion rate. So we think about that as conversion rate, but Amazon, I truly believe, because if you look at managed experiments, they're looking at it, the conversion rate they give you is so low that it's impression to sale. So out of how many impressions do you get, how many sales do you get? And as Stephen likes to say, which is 100% correct, it is easier to increase your traffic than it is to increase your conversion rate. Like all these little things you do are really just playing with the margins on the page, which are still good things to do on your page, and you should. But getting people to say, oh, that's the product for me, click on it in the search results page is going to get you more at-bats to get more people to buy. So if you get more relevant traffic to your listing, that shows a good signal to the algorithm that it's worth showing this product into more impressions. So if you get more people to click and they convert at the same rate, which they should, and if you have a good main image, maybe you even sell them in that initial click and they actually purchase at a higher rate, oftentimes happens, then you'll end up with better organic ranking. And you just got to test out a few different images. But I would do an image, and you can do pick food polls. You could take your image and maybe a competitor's image, put the two together, and just ask it ask people, which would you click on and why, or which would you rather buy and why, and just see what people say. And then you get a sense of like, okay, yours is good in this regard, but theirs is clear about this, or whatever the case is. So I would consider that. And then it says, I work on negating keywords as well and remove bleeders as well from the campaigns. Yep. That sounds like a good thing to do. So I agree with you there. All right. Next question. We're running out of time. Comment from Instagram, Warrior3454. Hello, sir. My question is going to USA on an F1. This sounds like it's starting to get outside of my area of expertise. On an F1 visa or staying in India and start in US Amazon marketplace from India, how to find winning product from minimum test launch. I am not an immigration attorney, nor do I want to even pretend to be one. Personally, just the two sentences you wrote here, I would say if you're living somewhere and you're able to sell in another country, I would not move your life to that other country just to be able to sell in that marketplace. If you're able to sell without it, not to get into hot topics here, but immigration is a hot topic in the US right now. But it sounds like you're going the right way with visas. But I would also maybe consult with someone who knows more about, this is one thing I do know with visas. Some are more likely to allow you to stay longer if that's your ultimate goal than others. Sometimes the ones that allow you to stay longer are harder to get, but they're stickier. And if you get I wouldn't say the wrong visa, but some visas be eligible for consideration for staying longer if things go well and you want to stay around. So that would be my 2 cents. All right. Why are we on YouTube? Good night, by the way. Yes, good night to you. We're always on YouTube. So you may have watched us also on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, X, Instagram, whatever. In fact, let me wrong one. Let me remove that. And I'm going to share the exact screen I'm looking at right now. It's going to be trippy. All right. So I'm going to share my screen and going to share the current screen. Whoa, it's trippy. All right. So anyway, this little box here where you can see it's starting to kind of be the box within the box within the box within the box. That's what I'm looking at. It's just because it's sharing the share within the share within the share. You can see up here, these are all the platforms that we broadcast on. So these are Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram. And this is either RMTP or RTMP, one of the two. I don't know. It's basically like a custom stream. So I'm not even sure where that's going, but our team put it together. So kudos to them. So when you're asking, why are we on YouTube? We're always on YouTube. You might have just watched us on another channel and maybe just happened to catch us on YouTube. So if you are watching us on YouTube and you don't normally watch us on YouTube, help us do two things. One, get to 60,000 subscribers on YouTube, and then ultimately beat out the city of Ocala, Florida, who apparently has 63,000 according to some estimates from the comment section. Domingo says, hi, Kevin, what percentage of organic sales versus PPC sales would you indicate an account that is doing things well? A lot of that's going to go, it depends. If you're doing 60, 70% organic, that's definitely good. If you're doing 50-50, that's not bad. If you're doing 40-60 organic PPC, 30-70 PPC, it's not terrible, especially if you can make the numbers work. But, people like, I remember when I first got into this game, it was most of my sales were organic, but, PPC was like 1 or 2 placements at the top. And then that was it. The rest of page 1 was all organic. And there was 1 carousel on the product detail page of products. Amazon's added more and more and more sponsored placements over time. So that's more opportunities to get sales from sponsored, and that's fewer opportunities to get sales from organic. So it's hard to say. So really what it comes down to is, are you making money, and are you making money as well as you'd like? And if not, work on your main image. That's the first thing. Then work on your conversion on the page, work on targeting. Are there any other keywords you can target? And then also, work on your bids per keyword, work on your, get rid of your bleeders, negate search terms that aren't doing well, do all the above. And then that will also shift things a little bit, but don't get too crazy, because again, if you might be familiar with this, not everybody is, your organic ranking is influenced by your PPC sales. So you don't want to turn PPC off. Exactly. So if your ACoS looks great, but overall profit is down, what's the first metric you should check? Okay. You should check what month is it. So January is, like I was saying before, if you're just looking at the state of the, I keep saying state. If you're just looking at the month, or if you're just looking at profit, and again, the month of January is a bit of an anomaly, because you will have higher sales oftentimes than you will other non-Q4 months, but you have higher than normal fees for Q4 inventory that are assessed in the month of January. You have a lot more window shoppers. So if your ACoS looks good, it might even be better other months, depending on what your product is and the seasonality of it. And then you're getting probably more returns because of all those Christmas sales you got. If they return at the normal rate of when products, let's say you normally have a 3 or 4% return rate. And let's say you have a 3 or 4% return rate from Christmas. Well, if you had 3x, 5x, or whatever the sales during the Christmas holiday season, just as a percentage, if the percentage stays the same, that means you have 3 to 5x the number of returns, but you don't have as much sales to support it because you got the sales in December, but you're getting the returns all the way up until the end of January. And you might even have like a little bit of a, oh, wait, I got to return it now or I can't factor at the end of the month. Just because people tend to procrastinate. So just things to think about. All right. Somebody said January is, I'm not going to repeat it, a certain type of show. I sell baseball caps. Very seasonal. Should I remove ads for January and February and use that budget to advertise more in May, September? I wouldn't totally turn off your ads. Maybe just really lower the bid. You want to at least keep some movement going, like keep a little bit of inertia, but people in Florida still buying ball caps. They're not in other places. Although I will say this, in Florida, usually we're an anomaly for the rest of the country. We have a Cub Scout camp out this weekend, and where we're going is in Florida, and the low is going to be in like the 20s, and it's supposed to rain. So we have no idea how to handle this. It doesn't wrap around our Florida brains, even though we have people from like, North and Colorado and all that other stuff. So we're trying to figure out what to do. So our buying habits right now, as people prepare for a little bit more winter weather coming up, are different than they would be the rest of the time. So probably mirroring the rest of the world. But outside of that, people are still buying baseball caps or whatever. So I wouldn't totally turn that off because it's not like the whole country is not doing it. But like, if there's a winter storm in Missouri, they're probably not buying ball caps. They're probably buying, the wool cap or a scarf or something like that. So something to keep in mind. Don't totally turn it off. But you know what? Weathers switch. Like, sometimes all of a sudden it's warm and the snow cap's melting or whatever, and it's Boston, it's 70 degrees in February and people want to go outside and like, I want a ball cap or something like that. So I wouldn't turn it off and give away sales opportunities or completely remove the inertia that you currently have. So I wouldn't totally turn off ads, but if they're not doing well, definitely lower the bids and keep a bulk file of what your bids were. So at least you have something to go by when you decide to turn them back to higher. All right. Mayor Chino says, are you a fan of doing single keyword campaign exact? What are the metrics you're looking for by doing that? I mean, yeah. So the metric is don't build a prison that you don't want to be in forever. So at the end of the day, just be strategic on it. Single keyword campaigns are fine, but don't do it for everything. If you want more control on a particular keyword, sure. But you might do a single keyword exact match campaign and realize, that same keyword is in a broad campaign with 24 other keywords and it's crushing it over there and it hardly gets any impressions in your exact match. And you might even have a higher bid. It just is what it is. There's just, that happens. So hopefully that makes sense. 100% ACoS so far in January. My summer ACoS is 20-30%. Yeah, lower your bids. Just know that January is an anomaly too. February might be better for you. I don't know what your history is on Amazon if you've been doing this for a while. But again, there's more people shopping around, clicking. What about this? And maybe you have more buyer resistance. Maybe they want to get a hat, but they're like, it's cold out. I'd rather get a wool cap or something. I don't know. So maybe it's worth lowering your bids, but I wouldn't turn off completely. So, all right. With that, thank you everybody for joining us and have an awesome